Hello and welcome to Bible Study with Alice, and today we're on day 73, Psalm 73 of our daily psalm reading. We are reading from the ESV translation, but you're more than welcome to join us from a different translation. As you can see, we are on Psalm 73. These videos are filmed in real time. Today's date is the 15th of January 25 and it's a Wednesday. You can find the previous 72 Psalms in the playlist below. There is a disclaimer as usual, and that is one of these videos are unedited and also I'll probably stumble my wording. Let's get started. God is my strength and portion forever, a psalm of Asaph. Truly God is good to Israel, to those who are pure in heart. But as for me, my feet had almost stumbled. My steps had nearly slipped, for I was envious of the arrogant when I saw people. Hold on. 3. For I was envious and of arrogant when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. For they have no pangs until death, their bodies are fat and sleek. They are not in trouble as others are. They are not stricken like the rest of mankind. Therefore pride is their necklace, violence cover them as garments. Their eyes swell as though fatness with hearts overflow with follies. They scoff and speak with malice. Loftily they threaten oppressions. They set their mouths against the heavens, and their tongues strut through the earth. Therefore his people turn back to them and find no fault in them. And they say, how can God know? Is there knowledge in the Most High? Behold, these are the wicked, always at ease. They increase in riches. All in vain have I kept my heart clean and washed my hands in innocence. For all the day long I have been stricken and rebuked every day. If I had said, I will speak thus, I would have betrayed the generation of your children. But when I thought how to understand this, it seemed to me a wearisome task until I sent into the sanctuary of God. Then I discerned their end. Truly you set them in a slippery place. You make them fall in ruin. Or fall to ruin even. Oh my gosh, Alice. 18. Truly you set them in slippery places. You make them fall to ruin. How they are destroyed in a moment, swept away utterly by terrors. Like a dream when one awakes. O Lord, when you arouse yourself, you despise them as phantoms. When my soul was embittered, when I pricked in heart, I was buttress and ignorant. I was like a beast towards you. Nevertheless, I am continually with you. You hold my right hand. You guide me with your counsel, and afterwards you will receive me to glory. Whom have I in heaven but you? And there is nothing on earth that I desire beside you. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. For behold, those who are far from you shall perish. You put an end to everyone who is unfaithful to you. But for me it is good to be near God. I have made the Lord God my refuge, that I may tell of all your works. So that is Psalm 73 complete. Tomorrow we will be doing Psalm 74. So that's the first part of the video complete. And the second part now is going to be discussing the time period that the psalm was written in, about the psalm, and also about book 3, because we've just started book 3. So, first thing first, for all new viewers who have come across my channel, I will discuss the time period that the Psalms were written in, and I do say this in all my videos, so it's nothing new, but there are a lot of Psalms within the book of Psalms, and we're not on about the sub-books, we're on about the main book of Psalms, where the Psalms are unknown, and that is due to the fact that historians and scholars don't actually know when that particular psalm was written, just they go by an event that may have taken place, and that event may have been mentioned in the psalm, but they then know that said event would have taken place, so they know the two link, but they just don't know exactly the time period, the time frame that that psalm was then written in. There are, though, psalms where they do know the time period, and also there are some psalms where they don't know the time period, but then they don't know the event, because it could be a psalm that has no event linked to. So I just wanted to get that out there, that we will come across psalms, and we have come across psalms, as you will find in the playlist below, where there are psalms that are classed as unknown, and as I said, there are events linked to that psalm, and there are also events that don't link to the psalm, and then you've got those psalms that has a time period. So I just want to get that one out there straight away. So with Psalm 73, it was written around 1000 to 962 BC. Is a psalm that speaks to the Christian experience. So what that actually means is, as a Christian, we want to be doing what's right for us, and what's right for the people, and what's right for God. So God is better than the world. Well, depends on how you see that. I see that God is better than the world, but we go with it. I guess you could say that, well, I'm going to be stumbling now. But that is technically the Christian experience, is God is better than the world. Because we do obviously know that we are spiritual children of God. Our spiritual self, our spiritual essence is God's children, and we are living out a human experience, however messy it can be. So in our true essence and our true self, we do know that God is better than the world that we're in, but that's because, you know, God brought us here to live our human life so we can come back to him. Wickedness usually results in trouble. Well, yes, wickedness does usually result in trouble. There's no two ways about that. You know, if you're going to be wicked to somebody, it's going to land you into a heap of trouble at the end of the day. Regardless how anything can be seen by that. You're going to be horrible to somebody, that's going to land you into trouble. You know, you're going to hurt somebody, that's going to land you into trouble. You're going to harm somebody, land you into trouble. Case in point, I haven't mentioned it, but I don't like to mention things if it doesn't come up in grand scheme of things, because sometimes it might not be quite relevant, but I think in this essence it can be mentioned. So so for example, what's going on in the world at present, wherever you are in that world, there's going to be conflict going on, and other countries, if there's a war going on between one country and another country, generally speaking, all the other countries are going to be quite unhappy with the country that started the conflict, or the party that started the conflict, because generally speaking, if there's no reason for the conflict, then it wouldn't happen. But somebody obviously gets a bit unhappy with the way the world is, and with the way they're not having what they want done, then they'll bring conflict in. And obviously another thing is, as I said, I didn't really want to mention it because I don't really want to speculate, but it's what happens when you read the papers, unfortunately. And I try not to read newspapers, but sometimes you just have to, because part of my I'm doing a business degree, so part of my business degree is I need to know about what's going on in the world, so I do need to read a bit about the news. And there's obviously what's going on in America at the moment. I'm not on about the presidential elections that has happened, and obviously coming up to the indignation, when the president becomes president officially. That word, I can't say it. We're not about that, but about what's going on in California at the moment. And there are obviously people speculating a lot, and people think that all the wildfires and the destruction that's happened to California, especially LA, I mean, if you've seen the news, you know what I mean. It is completely disastrous what's happened out there. And I'm literally like, what on earth have we just witnessed? I know it's wildfires, and wildfires generally do happen naturally, but I don't think it was natural fully. I don't think this one was fully natural. And obviously there's been a lot of people been arrested. And if you're going to do cause wicked like that to a city, you're going to get into trouble. And that will result you into trouble. Because, you know, what's the cause of it? For being you know, burning things down and whatever. But like I said, that's just speculation. We don't know what's going on there. It seems to be, with what I have read, a lot of arrests going on. So yeah. So wickedness usually results in trouble. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I'm afraid. Whatever you do, if you're going to break into somebody's house and take their property, that's going to result in you getting told off for it. Especially by going to prison. Murdering somebody, now, we won't even get into that because that's just wicked in itself. Like, harming another human being is just wicked. So that's going to cause you to be into trouble. You know, like, being horrible to somebody in general, regardless of if it's a social media influencer or if it's just somebody that you happen to know down the street, well, say your next door neighbour, depending on that. Yeah, we don't always know what's going on with you and your neighbour, but generally if you're going to harm them, that's going to cause you that would obviously end up in a result of you being told off for it, because, you know, it's not nice. Like I said, we don't always know what goes on with your neighbours, to be fair, but it does in the commandments about being nice to your neighbour, so we have to try to be nice, but it doesn't always necessarily the case. As I said, we don't know what goes on with your neighbour. God's judgment. God's judgment is the final one. So it's not the final one, obviously, on this list. Obviously, I'm not going into that one, but it is the final. God's judgment is final at the end of the day. When you get to heaven, He will judge you for what you've caused. He will judge you for it. Believers can trust in God's plan. God has a plan for a reason, and I'm on the belief, and now this is just my belief, nobody else's. And yeah, my belief is everything is preordained. Everything has been pre-planned from the get-go. So when we came to Earth, when we were born, we had a plan from God. God set out everything as a bit of a script in a play, in a film, whatever you want to see it as. He set out a script of what he wanted us to do and how he wanted us to be, and the people we're going to meet, the people we're going to come across in our day-to-day lives, the jobs that we're going to have, the relationships we're going to have with other people. Because I'm on the belief that things don't just happen by accident. You don't just meet somebody by accident. You meet them for a reason, and that reason is then later revealed. But you need that person in your life for X, Y, and Z reason. Obviously, we don't know at the time why somebody's in our life. Case in point, I have a best friend. My best friend. And it's a bit of a complicated story, so I'm going to try and keep this story simple. So this friend, I'm not going to name names, but it's a man, and he's not my relation. I'm not in a relationship with him. He's my best friend, and we were going to call him John. His name's not John, but we could call him John. So John, that isn't John. When I first came to the town that I currently live in, I had a feeling that I was supposed to be in that town for a particular reason. I don't know why, and I don't know how at that time. But I obviously came to meet John. Obviously, as I said, John is not his real name. And I didn't meet him straight away. I met him a couple of years later in a town park. And he commented on what I was wearing in a nice way. He was not actually negative towards me. And he commented on what I was wearing. And I remember that. I don't know why. I just always remember that man commenting on what I was wearing in a nice way. And like I said, I never knew why. Why I needed him in my life. Why that even thought came into my life, in my mind even. Because I hadn't seen him from that point. About 10 years later, my housemate happened to get a job with that same guy. 10 years later. Now, bear in mind, we did not know any of this. And we just happened to look on the company's website, and I found a picture of John. As I said, John's not his real name. And I was like, I know you. I know you very well. I remember seeing you. And he's not got one of those faces that you haven't got a familiar face. It was one of the has got a familiar face, but it's not one of those that you see everybody got similar features to. And I was like, I know you from somewhere, but I don't know where. And there was a conversation between my housemate and John, and it came out to be the same person. I then met up with John again a couple of years later, and I actually met up with him. And oh my gosh, I've never known anything like him. He is like the only person that I can honestly say that gets so happy when they see me and they're not even in a romantic relationship with me. It turns out that we have some kind of, spiritual connection to him. We're kind of like spiritually linked. He said to me, like I said, it's complicated, there's more to it than just that. He said to me that I'm supposed to be in his life and he doesn't know why. His partner, unfortunately, passed away last year, and it's not exactly what you expect to happen. And he tells everybody that me is supposed to be in his life. He tells everybody. He goes, Alice is supposed to be in my life. There's no reason for it. She's got to be in my life. And he's starting to understand that there's a spiritual connection to us both, and that God has put us together so we can help one another become better people in the long run. We're supposed to be in each other's lives for a reason, and God had put us together for that very reason. As I said, we're not in a romantic relationship, so don't go, oh, that's your boyfriend. No, he's not my boyfriend. He's a boy, yeah, and he's a friend, yeah, but he's not my actual boyfriend. I'm single. I'm a single Pringle. and then obviously follows God's will. In the last bit, you've got to follow God's will, because if you don't follow God's will, how else are we going to be able to do the previous parts? God better than the world, God's judgment, believers can trust in God's plan. How are we able to do that if we don't do those bits? So, as I said, Psalm 73 is a very good psalm, because it is basically given us in our modern day an experience that we can then become better at and become one with self, if you want to call it that way. So as I said, we had gone on to book 3. So as I said, the book of Psalms is split into 5 books. So this is obviously book 1. So, book 1 consists largely of psalms spoken by David individually rather than the nation. They address matters that concerns David personally, and this then applicable to the situation we face at work or on our own. So then, it's sometimes easier just to kind of refresh our memories, because obviously if you literally have just come across my channel, you might not know any of these reasons. So book 2. All of us suffer from feelings of insecurity, and financial ruin is high on our list of worries. In the second book, the psalmist, there is a number of texts related to the fear that beset people and the paths to which they turn for help. So we kind of got an idea of where we're going with what book 1 and book 2 is all about. So book 3 has a clear similarity to Leviticus in theme and scope. The purpose of Leviticus was to guide people in their relationship with the Holy God, and many of the Psalms in book 3 focus on worship of God's sovereignty and his faithfulness. So I'm now trying to figure out what to do with myself. So we're not going to go through Leviticus, but book 3 has clear similarities to Leviticus, which happens to be 27 chapters in Leviticus. I mean, we will come up to Leviticus at some point, but it's just not going to be yet. So we don't need to worry about that just yet. But we are going to be obviously covering the whole Bible at some point. But we're going to go through stages, and obviously at the moment we're doing Book of Psalms, which isn't probably the first thing you think of, but I quite like it, and I find it to be the book to read first. It doesn't make any sense to just do it first. I will give you that. It's not in an order that you would want to read it in. I mean, other YouTubers will say reading the Book of Psalms doesn't give you any concept, doesn't set any scenery out. Where obviously if you read Genesis, it does. But for somebody who does things in a way that's easier for you to then understand, Book of Psalms is the one for me. So for me to teach you and guide you to read the Bible, Book of Psalms is the book to go with first. If you're going to go with setting the story of the Bible out, yeah, Genesis would be the best place to start with. But we are going to be reading Genesis at some point too, so we don't have to worry about that. We really don't need to worry about Genesis yet. We don't have to worry about any of it. But the point of where I've just gone all the way to Genesis is Leviticus has clear similarities to book 3 in the Book of Psalms. And yes, we will cover Leviticus at some point, but just not yet. So that is Psalm 73 complete. So I will now write in the day and the date. so you can see day 73. It's the 15th of January. It's a Wednesday, 25. So yeah, so that's that complete. Tomorrow we will be doing Psalm 74. And we are seriously getting close to halfway through the book of Psalms. Quite exciting. Halfway is 75. Literally so close. Friday is going to be Psalm 75. Because today's obviously Wednesday. Thursday, Friday. So Friday will be Psalm 75 and we'll be halfway through. At least then we've made halfway through the book of Psalms, which is 150 Psalms. So we're getting there. We are slowly getting there. So yeah. So that is Psalm 73 complete. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I do apologise that this went on for quite some time and trying to explain certain things. I sometimes find if I explain it as I go along, it then makes sense in the long run. So doing what I did, obviously talking about the Christian experience, is sometimes easier doing it the way I did it, and then instead of doing it in other sections. So yeah, so thank you for bearing with me on this video. It's quite a long one, I do apologise, but I am aware that as the Psalms do get longer, the videos are going to get longer, but then when they get shorter, the videos will be shorter, so just please bear that in mind. Yeah, so thank you for watching. Please like my content, please subscribe to my channel, and I really would appreciate if you could subscribe to my channel, and please turn on the notification bell so you can get updates of when other content gets uploaded to the channel. Thank you and goodbye.